What's up, Benfica Nation? Welcome to episode number 109 of Mr. Benfica. Hello to anybody watching live right now on YouTube. And hello, of course, to everybody listening on the podcast. Benfica pick up three much needed points today. This in turn ended up being a great round for Benfica. I know a lot of y'all over the weekend were upset that Sporting was winning. You guys, I don't know. Did you want Porto to win the title? And more importantly, do you want Braga to catch us? It couldn't have gone any better for Benfica this weekend, in my opinion. Porto drop points. Sporting Braga lose, and Benfica now comfortably in third place. We should be able to, at the very least, finish this thing in third place, and we should now be able to go and get second place. I believe we can do it now. Of course, every time you believe in this team, they remind us why we shouldn't believe in this team. All right. Lot to talk about tonight. Okay, this is going to be a post-match report format, so it's going to be just like you're listening to the radio after the match. It's going to be a match in that format, and I got a lot of stuff coming. I got tweets coming in. I got a lot to talk about, so I get a little bit distracted here. Not usually doing this live. I am a podcaster. I'm not really a YouTuber, so I don't normally do this live, but we're going to give it a shot because it is already 8:19 p.m. here on the East Coast of the United States. And, well, let's be honest, if I tried to record a video, upload it to YouTube tonight, I'd be here all night because, as most of you know, I wake up about 2 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So we're going to skip all that. We're going to go live, and we'll do it. Any mistakes that happen are real. Anything that happens outside of the plan, we're going to have to live with it. All right. So let's start with the breaking news, okay? And, of course, our club played like absolute crap today. Absolute crap, all right? Completely played off the pitch in so many ways by Santa Clara. The Azorian side came in, and they looked phenomenal. They just couldn't put it in the net. And Elton Late, as much as I've talked about him in the past, came up big today. Elton Late was good. My boy Otamendi, he let us down. He had a key mistake in Santa Clara's goal. But we're going to start with the hot news right now. And it's coming from northern Portugal. Moreira dos Cónegos and Futebol Clube do Porto thought they had won. They thought they had won in the 92nd minute. Tony Martinez thought he had kept the title hopes alive. Hugo Miguel thought that Tony Martinez had kept the title hopes alive. But for once, hallelujah, the video referee, the VAR, the VAR came in 10 centimeters. I can't even do that with my fingers. I can't even make that distance with my fingers. 10 centimeters, the difference tonight between 3 points or 1 point for Futebol Clube do Porto, and the boys over at Benfica FM caught it all live as they were recording. They were into the conversation, and they tweeted out the video, and all of a sudden it was like they went nuts when the goal was overturned, and this led to me. See, I was supposed to be at work. I was working, but I had the game on here on the other side, on the other computer, and I got real into it. Of course, I was trying to catch up on Leo versus Leon from the weekend as well. Brilliant match, but I had Portugal in the final moments. Once Taremi, once I saw that Porto had another penalty kick, I was like, I'm going to torture myself today because I'm going to watch them steal another one. And I thought they had, but good old VAR came into play. 10 centimeters, the difference here on the Goal TV, the network that broadcasts the game in English here in the United States, Goal TV, and their commentator Nino Torres. All right, he lost it. He went ballistic. He couldn't believe that they were calling the goal back. He said, "What?" As soon as he goes, "There's nothing to check. There's nothing to check." He keeps saying, and then all of a sudden you could see as Hugo Miguel, those you watching, had over his ear, and you could already see the Moreirense defenders celebrating. They already knew that it was going to be an offside. 10 centimeters, everybody. 10 centimeters. I can't get over it. And yeah, Nino Torres had a mental breakdown. No, he says. And finally, so I went to Twitter. I took to this phone here, and I went to Twitter. And why don't I read you my tweet, okay, at the end of that match? Because 2 minutes later, I tell you, 2 minutes later, Porto calling for a penalty kick. which was, in my opinion, you can say all you want. He did not fall in. The foul did not occur in the box, no matter how much he drags his foot. Um, but here is my tweet, and you can go to my Twitter, of course, at Benfica Mister, and read it yourself. But I couldn't help myself here, and I said, "Someone tell the at Goal TV announcer at," and it's his Twitter handle, okay, but Nino Torres is his name, to stop having an orgasm every time Porto scores. For once, hashtag VAR did its job offside all day. Then he pleads for a penalty that's clearly outside the area. Referees in the league doing everything they can to keep Porto in this title race. I said to myself, "Oh no, I've started something here. I'm trying to be tough, right? I'm trying to be a big man here, and just like every time in my life I try to start a fight to look tough. Well, I end up being friends with the guy. So Nino Torres responds. One, it was clearly offside, but I think the new rule is ruining the game, not this particular game, he says. So he thinks the fact that he's offside by his arm is bad, but he's not talking just about this game. So I've said that myself. I can't fault the man. I've said the same thing myself on this podcast, on these videos, that we need to get consistent rules as to what constitutes an offside in 2021 in the age of VAR. We're still not getting it. That in other countries was not going to be called offside. In Portugal, that's offside. He goes on to say, number two, Diaz drags his left foot to be on the line. It should have been a penalty. And then the best line of all. And I tip my hat to Mr. Nino Torres here. Shout out. I won't stop having orgasms, he says. I will not stop having orgasms, especially in dramatic games. Just wait for the Clásico, he tells me. And I had a good laugh at that. And how can I get mad at a guy at that point? He has a good sense of humor. And then, of course, our boy Adrian there from Rabona TV chimes in. Shout out Adrian at Rabona. Let me get you his at Rabona _ TV. I will. He quotes Nino and says, "Hell yeah, Nino, do you, my man." Mario from B After 90 sends a great GIF. We all have a good laugh, and then I say, admittedly, I tip my hat on this one. Well done, Nino Torres. I even sent him the banter goes on, but that gets the gist of it. He also goes on to say that no, I go on to say, I respond to him talking about the Clásico, and I said, I know you'll be dressed in blue for the Clásico, and here is the reason. And I post a screenshot right here. You can't see it, but it is the table of penalties awarded this season in Liga NOS, with Futebol do Porto, of course, up at the top with 14. The next closest was our opponents this evening, or this afternoon, Santa Clara. He responds, "Don't be so sure. Most likely, I'll be wearing a black outfit." And he says about the penalties, of course, it's a big reason, but it's not the only one. Porto are still in the race. And I ended up he has his private messages shut off, so I ended up just tweeting at him one more time, saying, I said to him, I'm going to read it to you right now. I know this may not be the most exciting thing for people, but I tweeted at him afterwards, and I said, "Thanks for the banter and the good sense of humor. Thank you for bringing me the Liga NOS in English week after week. Maybe we'll chat again on Friday. Cheers." And he thanks me in return. Nino Torres, you're a good guy in my book, even if you root. I have to admit, the guy has a style. Okay, a very Latin style, a very good style. Who doesn't like that? I grew up here in the United States watching football on Spanish television on Univision, watching the great Andreas Cantor narrate the matches. Okay, I expect emotion. I expect goals. It's just because it was Porto that it bothered me. If it was any other match, any other team, I'd have been fine with it. Okay, it was just because it was Porto, and he gets that. He's a football man. He knows what's up. And at the end of the day, I think I made myself a new friend. I hope I made myself a new friend. All is good in love and football, and all is good in podcasting. All right, Liga NOS, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. So, with that said, man of the match, man of the match in the Porto match. That is, I've talked about Porto already too long in this episode, but the Hugo Miguel does it again, and well, let's get to our own club before we take a break. A couple updates: basketball, men's basketball. Okay, Benfica splits games 1 and 2 in the opening round of the playoffs in the Liga Placar against the defending champion Oliveirense. Yes, Oliveirense are still the defending champion because there was no champion last season. All right, so game 3 this Thursday afternoon here in the United States, maybe even morning. I'm not sure. I haven't checked the time yet. But go to your BTV listings. You'll see it there, okay? I believe they have it. If it's not there, well, I'll just tweet it out for everybody, and you'll know when they're playing if you're interested. All right, game 3 up in Oliveira de Zamej. Must win for Benfica, in my opinion. Carlos Lisboa's job is hanging on the line. I don't know. I think only running the table somehow and upsetting his way to the title will save his job. But then again, this is Benfica, and who knows what they're going to do. You can never know about those things. And a big shout out also Benfica women's water polo champions again. They won the title this past weekend. Um, tudo que a Benfica campeão. Congratulations. All right. And happy to see another championship for our club, regardless of the sport. And this is what our club is about. It's about supporting in all sports. All right. I'm going to take a quick break here. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're going to get a few seconds of silence. But if you're listening, excuse me, on the podcast, you're going to get, of course, Reconquista. All right. We'll be right back on the other side of this just shortly. And welcome back to Mr. Benfica episode 109. Now let's start the post game report, will we? We got Benfica winning 2-1 today. An own goal early in the match, okay, and then Chiquinho making the difference late in the match. I'm gonna go through some of your tweets right now, see what Benfica Nation is feeling right now before we get into the lineups and into the key moments of the match, if you will. And I'm gonna start. There was a tweet here from a good friend of the show, the original, the OG one of the OGs of podcasting. Okay, it's our friend down at Benfica Podcast, Cristiano Oliveira at CO10. It's CO10 at CO10. Too many too many Benfica players. Sorry, too many players on Benfica's roster not worth wearing that shirt. Professional players, yes. Um, Good enough to play at Benfica? Bleep, no. Okay. And that was retweeted by our friend Timo at underscore Timo1. And he says, in his opinion, not a single player should be safe. I can make a list of all 4 or 5 guys I think are safe. But maybe they're not. I don't know. I think everybody's had their good days and their bad days this year, so it's kind of hard to say. And perhaps nobody. Well, no one should ever feel safe. That is, if you're a big club, nobody should ever feel safe. The fact that someone does feel safe, this is how we get the consistency we get this season. I'm gonna slide down and see what else is out here. I'm gonna skip over anything that is Porto related. We've already gone over. That is what is flooding the Twitter space right now. And I'm not going to get into the polemica, into the controversy, or into the manager being sent off once again. He's now got more red cards than the team that has the most red cards in the league this year. I'm not going to get into that. Okay. Our friend from BA90 from Benfica After 90 is probably recording live right now. Mario at m.slb. Okay, now I'm a believer. We can take second. He's got the the laugh crying emoji, saying such a roller coaster being a Benfica this season. And I agree. It is such a roller coaster. It really feels like a wasted season at this point. I mean, we're fighting to hang on to third place and hopefully get to second. I mean, this is not where we're supposed to be as a club. We are much, much bigger than this. We should be much higher. Okay. We pissed away so many points this season, or we would be right there with Sporting. I mean, they just want to give the title away. If you've watched them recently, Sporting, the pressure is on, and they are nervous. I mean, they're gonna get a big alivio now, a big relief now that Porto have dropped 2 points, and they have won a big match on the road at Braga. But honestly, that's what's best for us right now because we're not getting there. Okay, yes, Jorge Jesus can say all he wants that mathematically we're not eliminated, and he then reiterates that it is what it is. A favorite saying of Benfica managers, it is what it is. But I don't, I don't see how with what do we got? I think we got 5 matches left to play. All right, 15 points left to earn. I can't see us making up this difference with Sporting. It would be the biggest miracle of all. I just hope. My biggest fear, was that we were gonna. And this sounds horrible, but I was literally fearing that we're gonna beat Sporting and hand the title to Porto because that would be the worst victory in the history of the club, in my opinion. It would feel absolutely horrible, at least in my lifetime. So I think today's results help me ease those worries, and I hope that next Thursday we take it to Porto, we pull out the win, and we put the nail in their coffin, and we bury Football Club de Porto for this season, and we can pull ourselves closer, and maybe by then we can even jump past them. Got to take care of business against Tondela later this week. Okay, Friday we got Tondela. We're without key players. I'll talk about that in a minute when I recap the match. All right. Moving down the conversation, our friend Kevin up in Montreal, he says, and he's at Nivik SLB, we looked fire in September. October came, an international break, insert expletive, all of our momentum. He puts in parentheses, Darwin got COVID and lost his mojo. Brilliant point. Darwin Darwin lost his mojo getting COVID. A number of players got COVID this year, and we're never the same again. Let's be honest, okay? Everyone I've criticized or I've praised in the past, nobody came back quite the same. Weigl took a long time to recover. Tarapt was never the same. Okay, whatever I want to say about Tarapt week to week, listen, he dropped off because of COVID. I'm not blaming him. Okay, and now Jorge Jesus making some comments about Tarapt's state of fitness right now. I didn't really think was the best choice for him to speak about in the post game, given current situation. Adel Tarapt's picked up an injury in training, and he explains why. And maybe I'll get to that. I'm really not comfortable talking about Jorge Jesus' explanation about Adel Tarapt's injury. It's just I don't think it's part of the equation, to be honest. Um, he makes it sound like it's something that the players never dealt with before. He deals with this season every year. And I'm calendar season, this time in the year, every season, and maybe it'll come up later. But he made some explanations for Adel Tarapt, and I don't know how Tarapt feels about it, so I'm not gonna comment. But um, PortugueseSoccer.com is reporting, and this was reported all over the broadcast today on BTV. Good news. Portugal reported no corona-related deaths in the last 24 hours for the first time in 9 months. That is good news. Maybe we can get some fans, and of course, the Prime Minister's already said no fans this season. I think that's a shame. And Jorge Jesus in his post-game press conference, okay, was asked this, and I have to give the man credit. Again, I criticize him enough. When he does something right, I'm going to say it. And he spoke rightfully so. And first of all, he apparently shares my views on politicians because they're not really good for anything, in my opinion. And when it comes time when you need them to defend you, like football has needed the politicians to defend them, they have abandoned football, and they have abandoned football fans in Portugal this season. Okay, because, as George Jesus pointed out, nobody handled a return from COVID. No industry handled it better than football did anywhere in the world. Okay, football found a way to get it done. They found a way to get everyone back to action. You can't say the same about basically anybody's public school system, for example. Okay, you can't say it about that. Or they didn't do it well. And football did it well. And football has the ability to separate people. You can assign tickets with an assigned seat. And you can do like we saw here in the United States for WrestleMania and for the Super Bowl. You could put fake people, okay, cardboard people in between the seats people are assigned to ensure they sit where they are assigned. No, we're not going to get 50 or 60,000 in a stadium anytime soon. Hopefully by next season, by the final of the Euro would be great, but I don't know. At the very latest by the end of the calendar year. But you can certainly put a third of a stadium, maybe. The Super Bowl here in the United States had, I think, 25,000. WrestleMania in the same exact stadium, a stadium that holds, if I'm not mistaken, about 80,000. They put 25,000 in there each night. I think Stadio de Luz could do 15 or 20,000, a third of the stadium, keeping people separated in social distance. I think with masks on, I don't see why they can't be in the stadium given those restrictions. And then you just have a coordinated exit plan. That's all you need is to have a coordinated exit plan. Everyone stays at their seats until it's their turn to leave by section. It isn't that hard. I've run operations for a club before. Okay, no, not in Stadio de Luz, not where you're going to have all that space. But it's not hard to come up with a plan of entry and exit from a stadium. Okay, you sit in this section, you're going through this door at this time. You have to communicate it, but what are these public relations and communication departments for? Just to go and start Twitter wars with each other and to accuse each other of corruption and whatnot? No. Okay. So Benfica FM's tweeting about Porto there, and a lot, um benfiquista americano tweeted, this was still during the game, and it says, when your opponent has more shots on their goal than you do. That was Benfica through a large stretch of this. We were ahead 1-0 with zero shots on goal. Make sure you give him a follow on Twitter. He is at Benfiquista. That's Benfiquista Americano. Good account to follow. He has really good content on there. And we keep moving through the Twitter sphere. And I mean, there's a tweet here I wanted to read, and now it's so far in the past that it's not on my feed anymore. But keep tweets coming. Obviously, Benfica fans, keep tweeting. Let's keep Benfica trending. It was so. This was a match, I'm gonna say, where I think I've already said at the top of the episode that Benfica, it couldn't have gone any better in terms of results for Benfica today. The play on the field was piss poor on the pitch. It was piss poor from Azagias today, okay? And I'm going to open up my little app here and go through the lineup in a moment. And, I mean, Santa Clara looked like Benfica, and Benfica looked like Santa Clara. Sergio tweeted this up in Canada. Okay, he used to be Sergio Jafost, I believe. Now he uses his real name. But he said, did Benfica and Santa Clara switch uniforms at halftime? And I know I responded with, I think they switched before the match. And someone else tweeted that Santa Clara came out in the 1940 Chicago Bears uniforms for fans of the NFL. And those were the colors of the Chicago Bears. It looked absolutely, it looked like Benfica were Santa Clara and Santa Clara were Benfica for large stretches of the match, and there's no doubting that. Okay, we bring up the FOT mob here, and I'm going to pull up the lineups now as we have round 29, Stadio de Luz, of course. It's Benfica versus Santa Clara. What our rivals will say, Benfica against our Azorian team, because the emblems are identical. Almost. I've explained the history behind that in the past. I don't need to do that today, but I've got the match feed up now, and I'm going to go right into the lineup. So we're going to start with the visitors from Ponta Delgada, the visitors from the beautiful island of São Miguel in the Sur, as they say. All right, the goalkeeper is Marco Rocha. They're playing a 4-3-3 for their manager, Daniel Ramos, one of the great young Portuguese managers, in my opinion. He's done some great work. He was at Boa Vista last year, and he is doing a phenomenal job with Santa Clara this year. They are knocking on the door of Europe. So one thing I have to stress, as bad as Benfica played, this was not a bad team we faced tonight. Okay, Santa Clara tonight showed that they deserve a spot in the UEFA Conference League next season. You can bet that this Benfica is going to be pulling for the Azorians the rest of the way, and it's not because my mother's from the Azores either. Okay, it's because their football is fantastic, and they deserved more than what they got tonight, in my opinion. Yeah, they weren't efficient. It's a lot of what we sometimes say about Benfica, just a lack of efficiency. Today, that was the case for Santa Clara, but they're playing a 4-3-3, like I said. They're back four. Their right back is the former Orlando City right back, Rafael Ramos, also obviously a former Benfica youth product, João Afonso, and Venezuela international Mikel Villanueva are the central back pairing. Learned from Elder Conductere on the broadcast that Mikel Villanueva was once a baseball player and did everything he could to be a professional baseball player before switching to football. Interesting. Now he's a Venezuela international, and he's played, as Elder said, against some of the best players the world has ever seen, namely Messi and Ronaldo, in La Liga when he was playing in La Liga. The the left back is Mansour, three-man in midfield, anchored by Anderson Carvalho. To his right, Hidemasa Morita, the Japan international, and Lincoln is the left-sided center midfield. With three in attack, Carlos Jr. is on the right, Krizan is the striker, and Alano is the left back. Now, Benfica coming out in a three. It shows here as a 3-5-2. I think it almost always plays out as a 3-4-3. They really haven't figured this out yet, okay? And you've heard me for weeks say that we got to play three at the back. Three at the back is not five at the back, okay? Um, People, and because they're not quite doing it right, it turns into five at the back at times against teams who we should never have five at the back against. And I understand the criticism. There are times that it's not functioning, and today, I have to say, Santa Clara scouted Benfica perfectly. They knew the spots where we were vulnerable. Okay, obviously, when you play a three-man back line with two wing backs going up and down the flanks, or as alas, as they say in Portuguese. Well, actually, ala is not the flank. O extremo is the flank, but it leaves gaping holes down the flanks because our outside backs, or our wing backs, is really what they are, push forward, which is what they're supposed to do in this system. Problem is, you have to protect the ball better when you play this system. What looks like, I think, a big problem with Benfica this season is no matter what system they play, the players play the same game. They don't recognize where they may have a new weakness, or where they may be a little more vulnerable than usual, and they give balls away far too much. And you know what? There's no system of football you can play that leaves you completely covered. If it were, everybody would play it. Okay, every system leaves some vulnerability, and we saw what it was today on those counterattacks. Let me tell you, we were left skinned. Okay, we know we don't have pace at the back. Okay, these three do not have any pace, or not enough pace at least. Santa Clara knew that. They exploited that. Okay, the goal, we nearly gave up a goal early on counterattack. Okay, we were absolutely burned down the flanks whenever we lost the ball. The players need to have the awareness and the notion that they need to protect the ball better. And it doesn't matter, like I said, it doesn't matter what system you play. If you lose the ball and you give it away carelessly and you leave yourself exposed, good teams, and Santa Clara, I'm going to put in that category of a good team. They're not a great team. They're not a top four team, but they are a good team. And good teams are going to exploit mistakes. Okay, they're going to exploit vulnerabilities. Santa Clara did that all day today. Um, and really played some brilliant football. But like I said, it looked more like a 3-4-3 to me. Of course, watching on television, it's a little more difficult. If I would love to be in the Topo Norte for one of these stadium, or in the in the top, no Terceira Anel, looking down and watching this from the tactical cam. I really wish BTV had a tactical cam option. Not that I'd watch the match live that way, but after the fact, I would love to go back and see just exactly what spaces players are occupying for the majority of the time. Um, so we got the usual three in the back. It's Nico Otamendi, Jan Vertonghen, and Lucas Verissimo. Diogo Gonçalves and Grimaldo are the wing backs. In in the middle there, you had Weigl and Peasy playing as double pivots, with Everton playing in front of them. Although a lot of times it was Rafa moving into that space. Rafa did a lot of defending today. I've seen on Twitter that from different supporters, different fans, noticing that he's, a poor performance from him. What I noticed, okay, when I look at this, I see him dropping into that sort of a midfield number 8 role a lot with Julian Weigel and Pizzi almost playing like double sixes. Okay, of course the three-man back line needs a double pivot. Um, the problem is when they drop too deep, you're not getting up front to help, and now you fall into the probability of having two lines of 5, and that's never what you want. And that leaves wide open spaces all over the park. And of course, our opponents today wisely exploited open spaces we left them. Um, Everton came in crucial on the goal. Okay, the own goal. He earned the own goal, but again, a lot of criticism going towards Everton Cebolinha, the former Grêmio man, and he's really struggling to find his foot in this team. I think it's because of the positioning. Um, he's used to playing one way, okay, and so the Portuguese managers now and coaches that have gone to Brazil have noticed, and to South America, that the teams like to play one way, and it's very hard to change that. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed here, and I'm hoping that this is a growth year and that this is an adapting year and a learning year, and there's going to be an upswing in the learning curve next season for Everton Cebolinha, um, as well as for Darwin Nunez next season, hopefully, because they were big investments from this club and they need to pay dividends, obviously. So that is the midfield up front. Listed as forwards was Rafa and the Swiss Army knife, as my new friend Nico Torres calls him, Aris Seferovic, which it's like flipping a coin which Seferovic you're gonna get in the match. You're gonna get the hat trick Seferovic, or you're gonna get the Seferovic we got today. The Seferovic you got today can't hit the ocean from the beach if you lay it out for him. I know Diogo Gonçalves gave him the ball of the match, the delivery of the match, and he put that thing. That thing is probably still in orbit right now. All right, so let's look at some stats. The key moments. Okay, let's go to the key moments. I'm gonna pull up the ticker here. I'm not gonna go through the whole match. Obviously, I'm gonna keep it to key moments. But as I scroll through it in the first half, there was a play here in the early. Grimaldo gets beat so easily on the dribble, and I think it was by Carlos Vinicius. It might have been by Crizan. Um, the three-man back line was pinched in, which is good. You want them pinched in. You want them protecting the middle. Ball gets knocked wide. Grimaldo sprints out there like he's Usain Bolt trying to run the 100-meter dash. He must think he's at the European Track and Field Athletics Championships or something. The way he ran out there, he never positioned his feet. He never got in defensive position. Never turned his hips. Never got his arm out. Never got within arm's length of the Santa Clara player. He just ran at him, got dribbled around. Nearly, it was a dangerous play because it ended up being served across the face of goal. Elton came out. He kind of lost it a little bit on the bounce. It hit him, got behind him, but fortunately rolled wide. Um, Otherwise, we would have been in big trouble there. And again, Grimaldo, Grimaldo can deliver a good ball. He can be useful going forward. We have not seen a good Grimaldo this year. Okay. And I don't want to hear these rumors I'm hearing that Barcelona are interested in bringing him back because I'm sorry. What's he going to go there and do? Come on. Let's be real for a moment. You can't get beat on the dribble like that by Santa Clara players and then think you're going to go play in La Liga and get on the pitch for Barcelona. Um, I know Barcelona have the ball all the time and he's not going to be asked to defend much, but this year, I don't even think he's giving us enough going forward. I know he's got a good number of assists, but really, really, really expect more from Alejandro Grimaldo. And his defending is atrocious for a top level defender, a top level player who's been playing defense since La Masia, since he was at Barcelona B. It, it's something that's happening in football everywhere. Defense is being completely ignored, being completely abandoned in the development of players. It's something you see with Benfica's youth teams coming up through the ranks. Our outside backs are not learning how to defend. Okay. It's been the Achilles heel for Nuno Tavares. It's the Achilles heel for Tomas Tavares. Okay. To the point where we had to this year take a midfielder and Diogo Gonçalves convert him to a right back. And finally, we have a right back. I think this, I mean, we'll get to it, but Diogo Tavares today, Diogo Gonçalves, excuse me, today, phenomenal game, in my opinion. Best player from Benfica today. I think the goal point's going to agree with me. And he may be the most, how do you say, he may be the trophy of the season, if you will, the best product of the season from start to finish, the best body of work, both for the coaching staff and for the player himself, of any of the players on the pitch, is the growth of Diogo Tavares. Okay. Julian Weigl was class. We knew that. He was in a slump. He worked his way out of it. He played his way out of it. By the way, congratulations to Julian Weigl. I should have said this earlier, and to his wife, Sarah, the birth of their daughter, Bruna. Of course, he missed the match in Portimão, which the media tried to exploit as a rift in the team. Always, you can count on Portuguese media to try to pull Benfica apart. You can try. They're always going to try to implant division in our locker room. You know who's feeding them this garbage too. It's communications departments up north. Jota Marques. He's got an in all of these media outlets, and he seems to just have a way with the things he says, that he spouts, the garbage that comes from his mouth seems to get echoed in the press. And the truth is, and Jorge Jesus explained it, Julian Weigl went to Jorge Jesus' room in the middle of the night, 4 a.m., and to Rui Costa's room, that the three of them had a discussion. He said his wife's pregnancy had become an at-risk situation. She was in the emergency room, and they authorized him to leave Portimão, to return to Lisbon, to be with his wife for the birth of his daughter, Bruna. And Julian Weigl, congratulations. Another Benfiquista in the world is always a good thing, and she is beautiful. And someone had said, now there will be a huge uptick of babies being named Bruna in Portugal, now that Julian Weigl has given that name to his lovely daughter. And that, of course, causes me to lose my train of thought for a moment. But, Julian Weigl, yes, Julian Weigl was not a growth so much as it was a rebirth. Julian Weigl rediscovered himself. Of course, Julian Weigl also was asked to play a role that he had never been asked to play in that manner, in that fashion. Okay, he didn't play as a holding midfielder at Borussia Dortmund. Okay, he had to kind of learn a new position, and I think just when he was going to leave, fortunately, it turned around, and y'all know how much I've rooted for Julian Weigl all season. If there's anybody whose horn I've been tooting all season and what players I've been defending nonstop, it's Julian Weigl and Nicolas Otamendi. Okay, I'm always defending Rafa as well. I know. Everybody that watches has the players they like and the ones that they like less. But I always believed in that both of those guys would become crucial pieces of this team. And I sure hope the rumors are not true that Benfica are going to offload him this summer. simply for the fact that he's the only player with a good market value right now to resolve some of the financial problems that the club is having. I sure hope that that's not true. I think he's growing, and I want to see him in a Benfica jersey for longer. I want to see him be paired with midfield players that are on his level, mentally, intellectually, that are thinking the game the way he's thinking. He's not been given that since he's arrived. And with all due respect to all the other midfielders, it's just he's on another level as far as his knowledge of the game and his thinking. And a lot of times, he has to come back. He has to come down a level and play at a lower level to be in sync with this team, and that's never a good thing for a player. So hopefully Benfica can surround him with some better players going forward. But again, at Mr. Mello there on Twitter made a great point. He says we spent 100 million in the market, and JJ's not going to play the youth. How are we going to fix this personnel problem? The answer is I don't know. I think this is what we got, and he's going to have to coach him up. Good old fashioned coaching is the only way we're going to get out of this because I just said I want to see new players come in, but who? Where are we going to go get this money right now? I don't want to sell a key guy to go to buy lottery tickets that you scratch and maybe you get a gym. Okay, we did that last summer. Okay, I think Darwin's going to pan out in time. I think that Cebolinha can pan out in time if his mental game adjusts. There's a player inside a lot of these guys that didn't come out this season. Okay, there is a player in there, and there is talent that has gone untapped or not been made the most of, as they say in Portuguese, não foi aproveitado. Aproveitado means to make the most of. I think that's the best word to describe the talent on Benfica. I know that it looks bad, and to the average onlooker, and to the average football fan today, we're now conditioned to just think you go get another player. Okay, this doesn't work. Let's get rid of him, bring someone else in. But the constant revolving door in the locker room is not a good thing either. Okay, so honestly, we paid a ton of money for this manager. He's got one more year. He needs to do something. I I can't see him getting sacked for virtually any reason outside of a major catastrophe, maybe a public relations catastrophe or something off the pitch. I can't see Jorge Jesus being sacked just because of the amount of money it would cost to send him away. Okay. And he's the manager. He needs to coach the players up. He said that there was no opportunity to coach this year because there's no opportunity to practice. If that's the case, next year you got no excuses. Not that you have excuses this year, but next year you certainly have no excuses. All right. Now, moving forward, okay, we get to the 10th minute, and Pizzi has a left-footed shot from the outside of the box. It's close, but it misses to the right. He was set up by Rafa. Not a lot going on for Benfica, though. Carlos Jr. with the right-footed attempt from the right side of the box, the right side of the 6-yard box, but it was saved in the bottom corner by Elton Late. Maybe Elton Late's best showing thus far this season for Benfica, as the lighting in here is getting dim. I'm not sure if my light is going dead, but we keep moving, and Crisan has a shot in the 20th minute blocked inside the box by Otamendi. And then it happens in the 25th minute, and this is a nice ball from Pizzi into space for Everton Cebolinha, who finds his way into the box, beats the Santa Clara defender on the dribble, tries a cross. The cross goes off of Carlos Jr., and Carlos Jr. heads it into his own goal. Benfica on the board, something they needed desperately. I'm going to move forward to what everyone remembers 3 minutes later, and I'm telling you right now, had this worked out differently, this is a completely different match. No question about it. It would have been completely different. It's Diogo Gonçalves with the ball of the match. Like I said, the service of the match, and Haris Seferovic's left foot plays it over the bar, and I swear that thing went out of the stadium. If Benfica go up 2-0 there, I think Santa Clara call it a day. And Benfica probably win 3 or 4-0 with ease in this match, but they didn't do that. And in the 31st minute, it's Clara tight again. And it's Carlos Jr. again. It's a header inside the box. It's close, but he misses just to the left. Benfica lucky to see halftime. But before that, Lucas Veriz with an effort off of a peasy cross. But let's go to the second half then, in the interest of time, as we've been going for a while. It's getting late here, so let's go in the interest of time. Move to the second half, and we get a substitution. Actually, before the substitution, we're not going to get the goal before the substitution. No, we get the substitution first. After Anderson Carvalho's right-footed shot outside the box is close but misses left. Jorge Jesus goes to the bench. On comes Chiquinho, and he replaces Everton Cebolinha, and I think Elder Cruz called it another exibição triste or menos feliz, no feliz, the Everton, meaning not a sad, but a not happy, a not pleasant performance again from Everton. But Everton had a hand in that first goal, and the own goal. He did, he earned it. He beat the defender. He forced the cross. He's the reason that Carlos Jr. headed it into his own goal. But on comes Chicão. Today he was Chicão, and just my feelings on Chiquinho. I like the player personally. I think his ceiling at Benfica is this: it is to be a substitute. If that's what he's gonna be, and I don't think he's happy with that. To be honest, I remember reading reports that he wants to leave, where he can get more opportunities, play more minutes. But he's a good substitute in this team, and I think he's he's actually. I think Elder said he's the most utilized substitute this season. I was about to say I feel like he's underutilized, but perhaps I'm wrong. This season has been so long that it is hard to remember back to the first half of the year and to even 2 months ago. It feel last season, post COVID into this season has felt like one long season. But he's a player that's serviceable. He's not a player that we want who's at the level to be an all day, every day, 90-minute player for Benfica, obviously. But I think he's a serviceable substitute, and this is a good switch by the manager today. Jorge Jesus on his game here with this substitution. I won't say the same about some substitutions later, but then he explained it in the flash interview after the match, so it makes a little bit more sense. But we fast forward in the 61st minute. It happens. Otamendi's given a bad pass. Okay, I think it came from Elton late, if my memory serves me correct, forcing him way wide, and then he tries to clear it as I believe it was Alano, was a player who was sliding, and he got himself stretched out, and he blocked Otamendi's attempt at clearing. The ball came back towards the center. It came back towards the area, and it was Crizan getting on the loose ball, running at the box. Okay, Weigel's trying to get back. Crizan delivers the cross on the ground. Weigel's sliding, trying to block it. He can't block it. Verissimo is sprinting to get back in place, and the ball finds its way to the foot of Anderson Carvalho, who first times it. As you can see, Vertonghen just barely misses blocking it by this much. Vertonghen gets himself in position, but he misses the block by this much, and it finds its way around Vertonghen past Hilton late, and it is a goal for Santa Clara, 1-1. And how many of us are saying, here we go again? Sure felt that way for me. It looked like Benfica were going to do it again. And listen, this Santa Clara team has become somewhat of an Achilles heel to Benfica this season and last season. We've had a hard time with them the last 3 times we've played them now. And today, 67th minute now, that goal came in the 61st. 67th, it's Pizzi coming off as Jorge Jesus opts to change the look. Substitutes a midfielder for a forward, and it is Darwin Nunez coming on as the Uruguayan replaces the Portugal international. Still, Benfica with trouble getting things going, but then it finally comes in the 72nd minute, and it comes from another brilliant service from none other than Diogo Gonçalves, a name I've said a few times tonight, and a name that I just said is probably the best start to finish product at Benfica this season. And I think he's the undisputed owner of that position going forward as he plays a nice ball in, and Chiquinho gets on the end of it, and it's a left-footed shot from the center of the box, puts it in the left corner, assisted from Diogo Gonçalves. 2-1 to Benfica, and Benfica having us believe that maybe they're going to steal the 3 points today. 3 points that I think we all agree were not deserved. At the very least, Santa Clara deserved a draw today. They deserved, but that would be the one to put Benfica ahead. That was the goal. 77th minute. Daniel Ramos would go to his bench. Costinha comes on, replaces Alano. And also a player by the name of Rui Costa. No relation to our Rui Costa, but he comes on. Viana do Castelo native, I believe they said. Castelo Branco native. He replaces him. And guess what? In the 80th, Seferovic misses another opportunity. Just one of those days for the Swiss Army knife. He misses a right-footed shot from close range to the left. And guess who put the cross into him again? Yes, Diogo Gonçalves, man of the match, MOTM tonight. But that would be it for Diogo Gonçalves in the 80th minute as Gilberto would replace him. Now, I didn't like the substitution. I hate this thing of switch, but of course, the outside wing backs in this system are the ones doing the most work and covering the most space. They are the ones most likely to tire and to need a substitute. And Jorge Jesus revealed in the flash interview that Diogo was already looking to come out at halftime. There was an exhaustion there from him. He's still adapting to the position. He's adapting well, but he's still adapting to the amount of up and down sprinting he has to do versus in midfield where it's a lot of shorter sprints. You cover more territory or more terrain. You cover more kilometers in the midfield a lot of times, but in as a wingback, you have a lot more long sprints, and his lungs are still adapting to that position, and his muscles. And he asked for the substitute. Also in the 80th minute, two other substitutions made by Jorge Jesus, his patented triple substitution that he loves to do every match. Luka Waldschmidt comes on, replaces Rafa, and Pedrinho replaces Seferovic. 2 minutes later, and Costinha nearly levels for Santa Clara. He has a right-footed shot from outside the box, but saved by Elton Late, who I also am gonna say had a who I'm gonna praise today. And shout out to my new friend there, my new friend Nino Torres, pronouncing it Elton Leite. He's got the Brazilian pronunciation there. And I have to say, I feel like he's done his homework in the pronunciation of these Portuguese names, and he's come a long way. I have to say this season, and not just because the guy was nice to me on Twitter, but it's always nice to hear Portuguese names pronounced correctly, and it doesn't always happen. Just ask Bruno Fernandes how his name gets pronounced all the time. And move on in Santa Clara here as a triple substitution, of their own in the 85th minute. On comes Jean-Patrick Nené and Ucra. Remember Ucra back in the day at Sporting Braga, the former Porto youth product, and also Sporting Braga and Rio Ave, a long time mainstay at Rio Ave. And off comes Anderson, but it would not suffice for Santa Clara. And then I think a moment of good fortune, in my opinion here. Jorge Jesus denies that this was done on purpose. He says he never instructs his players to do this, but Julian Weigl picks up a yellow card in the 88th minute. Julian Weigl will miss the match against Tondela on Friday, but that means he will be available for the Clásico next Thursday against Futebol Clube do Porto at the Estádio da Luz. Must win now. This is a must-win match, almost a final for Benfica if they want to have any hope of second place and direct entry into the group stage of next year's Champions League. Weigl does well to pick up the card. I don't think he meant it. And actually, George Jesus says that Weigl was nervous and played a nervous match all day, knowing he couldn't pick up another yellow card. And I don't necessarily know why. I mean, you get to this point of the season, you have a big match like that. I think it's almost a given. You go burn a yellow card and hope that your team can make it happen against Tondella's on good form, though. Tondella's in the highest I've ever seen them in the table. I believe they're ninth right now. But are you going to miss Tondela or are you going to miss Porto? Because you don't want to give the referee the opportunity against Tondela to book you so that you miss the Porto match. Yes, it sounds like a conspiracy, but anyone who's followed this league for the last 30 years can understand that's a legitimate concern. And a few minutes later, Nicolas Otamendi finds the right opportunity to do the same thing. He finds the opportunity to burn a yellow card. He misses the next match against Tondela as well, but that means he is available to face his former club. And I love the Nicolas Otamendi that shows up against Porto. The two matches we had against them, man, that vindicated all the good things I said about him when he arrived, all the hope I had of what he would bring to this team, despite what his form had been. He brought exactly what I thought he could to this team in that particular match, and he has been solid ever since. Yes, he has the mistake today, but he has been solid ever since. And a smart, wise yellow card picked up by Nicolas Otamendi. I'm sure Porto's going to be kicking themselves for that because same thing. You don't want to give the referee on Friday the opportunity to remove you from the Clásico. I I think this was a good thing. The referee will blow his whistle for full time at 90+4. Benfica pick up the 3 points. Three major positives. I know the performance was poor again. I know the football was lousy, but three major positives today. 3 points for us. Our direct rival for second dropped 2 points. Our direct rival for third, who's trying to chase us, dropped all 3 points this weekend. And we now know Weigl and Otamendi will be available for the Clásico. All right, let's bring up the goal point now. I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. Give me one moment here as I bring up the goal point. And here it is. As now I'll go ahead and put it on your screen so you can see it at home if you're watching. If you're listening to the podcast, obviously you won't see it at home, but I'm going to go ahead and share the screen now with the goal point, and you should be seeing it any moment. And there it is. All right. So first thing we're going to look at today is, the two teams. You see the average rating for Santa Clara slightly higher than for Benfica. Maybe we're overestimating how well they played. I don't know. I'm not the only one saying this. This is the consensus opinion among Benfiquistas, among non-Benfiquistas, among neutral media, if you want to call them that. They were better. I thought they were much better. I thought they were better. This is horrible English, but I thought they were more better than this shows here. The expected goals, though, Benfica with 1.9 on the XG. Santa Clara 0.7 on their XG. But again, Santa Clara a lot of nice football, but couldn't really turn it into good. Couldn't really. They hit Elton Lake with a lot of shots that were easier for him to stop. But all in all, that XG statistic or analytic is something that's debated, and I know some of you are not big fans of it. I think it's one piece that tells the story. I think you can't just go by it, but I think it's a good tool and a good piece to tell you the story. Now let's start with Santa Clara. As you can see, their goalkeeper Marco is a 4.6, Rafael Ramos 5.8, João Afonso 5.1, Villanueva 4.8, Mansour 5.4, Carlos Jr. 4.7 with the goal. Anderson Carvalho is actually the man of the match. I've been praising Diogo Gonçalves, but that's from the Benfica side. The man of the match in this one from Santa Clara is Anderson Carvalho, and I found him quite impressive today. Morita 5.6, Lincoln 6.2, Alano 5.8, and Crizan with a 6.8. Now, as you see, this is a different lineup here on Goal Point than what I read off from FOTMob, but that is the issue with, you know, with the different apps that track lineups and that track statistics. But there you see the substitutes, Costinha and Rui Costa, 5.3 and 5.4 apiece. For Benfica, Elton late with a 6.9. Like I said, I thought he was really good today. Grimaldo, 4.2. That's about right. Vertonghen with a 5.8. Otamendi gets a 4.7 thanks to that error that led to the goal. And I think the yellow cards also bring the rating down in the algorithm that creates these ratings. Lucas Verissimo, another solid 6.0 performance. And there is Benfica's man of the match, Diogo Gonçalves, 7.1 with an assist. Rafa's a 5.6. Weigl, 5.4. Pizzi, 5.0. Everton, 5.3. And Seferovic, man. Again, I'm not going to criticize him. He is what he is. We know what we have with him. There's days he's going to give you a hat trick. He's the leading goal scorer in the league now. But then there's days he gives you a 3.5. That's one of the lowest ratings, if not the lowest rating I ever remember on Goal Point. And you can see here, if you're watching on the heat map, just how much space was covered by Anderson Carvalho of Santa Clara today. Let's look at the statistics real quick. Shots 10-16 in favor of the Azorians. Shots on goal 7-1, overwhelmingly in favor of the visiting side. Actions in the opponent's area, I like this statistic. Benfica still wins that one. They seem to win that one all the time. I think they may even lead the league in that particular analytic, in that particular statistic. The actions in the opponent's area, 21-14. 5-4 corners for Benfica. Benfica with an 85% pass efficiency to 79 for Santa Clara, which is high for a Benfica opponent. Benfica usually does not allow a pass efficiency that high to their opponents. Vertical pass efficiency, Benfica still with the edge there, 64% to 57%. Defensive actions in the opponent's midfield, Benfica with only 7. They usually also win this statistic, no matter who they play. They're usually defending higher up the pitch. Not so today. Santa Clara defending Benfica high. I really like the approach from Santa Clara today, I have to say. Again, I think they had Benfica well scouted, well studied, and they had just the right game plan to come in and go at Benfica. So hats off, and you have to give credit to Daniel Ramos and to Santa Clara. Now, again, my least favorite stat, and to me the least important stat, Benfica dominating 61% to 39 in possession. A lot of that, though, is in non-dangerous situations. Okay, that's the goal point. Now, let's switch it up here, and let's go back to the screen, as let's stop sharing, if I remember how to do this. And we move back, and there I am again. And, of course, those of you listening on the podcast form don't have to see any of my poor YouTube work and just how uncomfortable I get in the live setting on the YouTube. But anyway, final thoughts. Again, the result is better than the performance, and I'll take that 7 days a week. I'll take that 34 matches a year from the side. The performance. It's good to have a good performance, but you got to have the result. Okay, the result is mandatory. The performance is optional if you want to look at it that way, especially at this stage in the season where it's all about points and it's a race to the finish line. And we want to be on the podium, obviously, and at the very least, well, not at the very least right now, we want to at least find ourselves in second place and go to the UEFA Champions League. So let's move ahead here, and I have the table for you. I'm going to put that on your screen in just 1 second here so we can look at the table. And there it is, courtesy of SofaScore. And you will see this on www.mrbenfica.com tomorrow at some point, as we now have mostly everybody's got 29 matches played. All right, you see there in the table, Sporting leading with 73 points, 22 victories, 7 draws, still undefeated. we got to be the team to knock them off. Absolutely. Hopefully they're already champions. Hopefully they don't come here to win the title. But we absolutely have to win when they come here, and we have to knock them off. Okay. Porto are now 6 points back. It's going to be a tough way back for Porto. Look at the form they were showing in the last five, but it dropped off today. Um, you can see Porto there with the highest amount of goals scored this season, only two ahead of us. We are now third. Benfica's got 63 points, four back of Porto. If they can drop another point, then all we got to do is beat them and win the rest of our matches. Porto will have, I believe, they'll have Famalicão next. I'll go through the fixtures list for the next round right after this scroll through the table. And in fourth place, it's Sporting Braga. Like we said, they dropped 3 points at home this weekend. And in the news, of course, is Sporting Braga wanting to move out of the city's stadium, out of the Pedreira, out of the rock quarry, and back into their Estádio 1º de Maio, the May 1st stadium. And of course, that is because they own the stadium. And if you've listened to this podcast for some time, you know when I cover the women's team, when we go play Braga in women's football, we play at the 1º de Maio. The club has plans to renovate the 1º de Maio and move back in, and it only makes sense. You don't want to be paying rent when you own a house. It's pure, it's simple economics. Fifth place right now. Not going to move any higher, obviously, but I'd say fairly safe. 7 points clear in fifth place is Pepa's side. Passos de Ferreira, they're looking at going to Europe and being in the debut edition of the UEFA Europa Conference League. Right now, Vitória Guimarães holding on, but look at that form from Vitória Guimarães. The club from the Dom Afonso Henrique, from the original capital. Only one win in their last five. The rest, all losses. Our opponents tonight, Santa Clara, right on their heels on 36 points. BTV kept asking Daniel Ramos if he thought the dream was over. I don't know why they would ask that. Finally, in the post-game presser, a reporter, I think from 00, or from Mais Football, I don't remember, pointed out that, this year, sixth place right now, there's nothing around it. But sixth place will be a Europa Conference League spot this season because Braga and Benfica are meeting in the Cup final. And that spot will go to the Europa League. So the winner of the Cup will get an automatic berth into the Europa League. Now, if Benfica win the Cup and they're already in the Champions League prelims, then Braga will go to the Europa League. So basically, whoever loses the Cup final, okay, basically, let me reiterate, whoever wins the Cup final would be going to the Europa League, but they may already be going anyway through fourth place, so it's going to be an automatic spot in the group stage regardless. And then fifth and sixth will go to the Conference League. So there's Santa Clara, 36 points. They're sliding right now too, but they have 5 matches left, and they keep playing this football. I believe they're gonna surpass Vitória Guimarães, but we gotta wait and see. There's a lot of football still to go. 5 matches is a lot of football. Moreirense pick up a big point tonight. They draw level with Santa Clara, 36 for them as well. Tondela 9th with 35. That's our next opponent. Belenenses Sado with a win today as well. They move up to 10th. They got 34. Portimonense has 32. Famalicão in 12th with 31, as is Gil Vicente with 31. Now, Rio Ave and Marítimo, for now, in safety, each with 30 points, 14th and 15th, respectively. They are 2 points ahead of Boa Vista, who are sitting in 16th with this year is a relegation promotion playoff spot. Okay, right now, they are in position to meet, I believe, Académica. Don't quote me, though, because the Liga Portugal 2, whatever the sponsorship name is, the second league after the first two is very, very tight for that third spot. But right now it's Boa Vista with 28 points. 3 behind them is Farense with 25. They have a match against Portimonense tomorrow. It is the Algarve Derby. So after that match, that's when I will update the table on www.mrbenfica.com. Okay. And in last place is Nacional with 24. It's going to be tough for them to make up the gap. Even the 4 points could be very tough to make up. But if they go on a little run here, they could find themselves with a chance to save themselves. All right. Next round's matches are right here for you. And we have Boavista. This is this round's match. Excuse me. There we go. Passos Ferreira meeting Belenenses Sad on the 30th of April. The 30th is it's Friday, I believe. Yes, the 30th is on Friday. Vitória Guimarães hosts Moreirense in a Minho derby, also on Friday. And still on Friday, it's Tondela hosting Benfica. And still on Friday, Porto hosting Famalicão. That's going to be a big match. Once again, Benfica playing the earlier match. That is in, you see 14 hours there. That is in Eastern time here in the United States. That is to my location. So that is a 2 p.m. Eastern time start, 11 a.m. Pacific, and that is a 7 p.m. or 19 hours in Lisbon or in Tondela, to be exact. And 2 hours and 15 minutes later, Porto kick off at the Dragão against Famalicão. On Saturday, we have Gil Vicente hosting Farense in a match that the Algarve side will need to win regardless of their result tomorrow against their Algarve rivals. And the other Algarve side will also play on Saturday, hosting Rio Ave, who also are not safe. My friend Miguel Cardoso, their manager, needs points. He needs to get away from that relegation spot, away from that playoff spot. And in the Azorian side, Santa Clara, our opponents today, continue to chase their European dream. They're at home at the Stadio São Miguel versus Boavista in Ponta Delgada. And Sporting will host Nacional. So first versus last in that one, as they're going to hope to move 3 points closer to the title. And I think for Benfica's sake, hopefully they pick it up, because I would love for them to already be champion when they get here, because I want them to be checked out a little bit and I want to beat them. I want to make sure that we are the one loss on their win-loss record this season. That would give us some momentum also going into the cup final, and hopefully catapult us past our other rival catapult us past our northern rival and into second place. Braga will host Passos Ferreira in what is maybe the match of the week. This is an exciting one, as they will fourth will host fifth in, well, basically a match for fourth and fifth. We said when we looked at the table, Passos Ferreira are kind of safe where they are. They're not really going to go up or down, but still, Pepa's side is going to come in and look to make a statement, I think, and look to pick up a win against the big clubs. They really raise it when they play against the big clubs, and it's not a big 3 anymore, in my opinion. It's a big 4 in Portugal. And the round closes out on, and actually these matches are next week. The round will close out with Marítimo hosting Gil Vicente. Actually, Gil Vicente already played, interestingly enough. Well, on May the 5th, there's Marítimo versus Gil Vicente. All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Mr. Benfica. This has been a long one. I do apologize. Thank you for everyone watching on Twitter. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down there. All right, I need some more subscribers. Hit the subscribe. Hit the little bell next to it to make sure you're alerted every time I put out a video. And if you're listening on the podcast, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to it. And don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Benfica Mister, on Instagram at Mr. Benfica. And please hit up www.mrbenfica.com and hit up my other website, okay? I just launched it, the PTV Media Network's own homepage. It's www.parkingthebusmedia.com. Go there. I got some episodes of Parking the Bus up. I've got a conversation regarding European Super League. I've got an article about, or a blog post about European Super League and my reaction. And also follow Parking the Bus on Twitter at PTV_media. I'm posting links to videos that I'm doing now for BTV, the other BTV, not our network, but not our club's television station, but the website betterthan.vegas. I've started to do some soccer previews, and I've partaken in some soccer or football roundtables. So I'll post anything I'm in there as well, and I'll share it to Mr. Benfica Benfica as well. So make sure you follow wherever you prefer to follow Mr. Benfica. That's going to do it for this one. I will be back with the women's team update. I promise that's coming this week. That will come before the men kick off on Friday. I know I make these promises all the time, and then it doesn't. One thing leads to another, and I can't get it out. But it is coming, and I'm also almost done on a written piece profiling Benfica women's star, teenage sensation, Kika Nazaré, who is just taking the Liga BPI by storm. She's debuted for the Portuguese national team, and she signed with Jorge Mendes. So you know that she's legit when she signs to the biggest football agency on planet Earth. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you. This has been episode 109. I am Mr. Mike Agostinho signing off once again. Carrega Benfica, Força Benfica. Vamos em cima deles. Let's go. Até o fim. Lutar até o fim. We fight to the end. We are Benfica. See you next time.